Hey everyone, I'm thrilled to invite you to Politics and International Living, Black Women's Perspectives from Around the Globe, a live panel discussion happening on YouTube, Saturday, November 2nd at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll be exploring how political changes in both home and host countries affect the experiences of Black women living abroad. We'll touch on everything from immigration policies and social movements to cultural acceptance and beyond. This is a super important conversation, and I know you all will not want to miss it. So make sure you're subscribed to the Flourish in the Foreign YouTube channel. Tell a friend to tell a friend, set your reminders, and I'll see you there. Welcome to Flourish in the Foreign, the award-winning podcast that celebrates, elevates, and affirms the voices and stories of Black women living and thriving abroad, while exploring living abroad as a pathway to wellness. I'm your host, Christine Job, a Black American woman with Trinidadian roots, a business strategist and consultant from Atlanta, living and thriving in Valencia, Spain. Hey everyone, welcome to Flourish in the Foreign, or welcome back. I'm Christine Job, the creator and host of this here podcast. Yes, and this is another episode in my October 2024 spooky season mini-series. Yeah, the podcast is on hiatus. And what does that mean? It just means that I don't have new interviews to give you. I'm on hiatus. However, the podcast is in pre-production for the next season. So if you have been waiting to be featured on my podcast, that's nice. Or if someone that you think would be an excellent guest on this podcast, and you think I should interview, I want to invite you to go to flourishintheforeign.com/contact, and I want you to fill out the guest inquiry form. And also, I want you to make sure that whoever you suggest to reach out to me has listened to this podcast and that they pitch me well, right? Simply living in Germany, although interesting, I'm sure, is not enough. And so listening to the podcast will give them an idea of what they should say to let me know that their story would in fact be in alignment with this here podcast. Okay? Well, today is the day where I get to talk about a concept that I've developed that I absolutely adore because I came up with it. Yeah, duh. And that is soft life and soft business. We'll be talking about this concept that I've developed over the years as a business strategist, helping people develop businesses that are global in reach and businesses that are location independent and all those things. Now, for those of you that maybe have just let out a deep sigh, because you're like, oh, this is going to be like a long infomercial for her products and services. Might I remind you that this podcast is free 99 to you, not to me, who has produced over 100 episodes. Okay. So let's just put out a ridiculous number that is completely untrue of 10 euros per episode. It costs more than that to produce an episode of this podcast. So if you actually paid 10 euros per episode, then how much would you have paid? Okay. And how much have you? Okay. Yeah. This is why we have to have this conversation when it comes to soft life and soft business, when it comes to Black women and women of color leveraging their skills and their expertise to build their own assets, because this is an issue. If I wanted to get a PhD, which I don't. I think it would be really interesting to explore this kind of intersection of wanting and supporting, like what people call wealth generation or breaking intergenerational chains and trauma, and everybody should get an LLC. And then people who are like, oh, yeah, but I don't want to pay for anything, most especially if a Black woman has created it or a woman of color has created it, because I should get it for free, you know? Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it because this is part of also my expression and my experience of liberation. Yeah, is to get financially free, to become and to be able to create a business that can not only support and enrich me, but has impact and has purpose and has not only elevated myself, but has necessarily elevated everyone that I have been in contact with. Hmm. Oh, you didn't know the infomercial was going to go this way, did you? Okay. I'm not like one of them. I don't know who you're trying to compare me to, but babe, I'm not one of them. I'm her. Y'all should know by now, but here we are. So I think we've all have heard and understood the term, quote unquote, hustle culture. This constant need to grind and the pressure to always be working, to always be productive, or at least to be busy, always be striving for the next big thing. But what if I told you there was another way? Just joking. No, seriously, what if you could create a life that was soft, peaceful, and fulfilling, and a business that supports that life, that supports that lifestyle, not just with the fun, we love that, but in the way you build and maintain this business. So it feels good and it doesn't drain you. That's an interesting concept. That is what my whole thing is about. Soft life, soft business. And I'm really excited to chat with you all today. For those of you that have been humming and hawing about starting your own business, about being really committed to it, and those of you that are like, I don't really want to have my own business, I implore you to stick around because I think the concepts that I'm speaking about can still be really beneficial to you. I really do. And if not, you can always write me a strongly worded letter. That, I mean, I'm not going to say I'm going to respond back, but you can do it if that's what you feel like doing. All right, on to today's episode. So, what is soft life? What is a soft life? I really like pondering this, and I've been writing about this for a long time now. And no matter how much I write about it, I feel like I can write more about it. I really do. It's a term that's been floating around social media for a couple of years now. And I think it's for a really good reason because it feels like it's in direct reaction to the current state of the global economy, but definitely the Western way of work, particularly the United States, the expectations of work and what work is meant to mean in our lives. So, soft life is perhaps about decentering work. I'd have to write about that more. But I do think that it's about prioritizing peace and well being and joy. I think it's about rejecting the idea that you always have to struggle and hustle to be successful or to deserve happiness. As a past podcast guest, Kelly Bonner of the Black Girl Burnout podcast has said numerous times on her podcast and probably on her episodes here too, but she really makes it a point to frame this type of softness as a way for you to either opt out of something and opt into something. I think that is something that you should meditate on. Okay. I think, especially in the context of Black girl soft life, this concept is especially powerful. I love seeing the TikToks and the pictures of just great lighting, beautiful skin, great hair, great, beautiful clothes, Black women doing the mundane or the extraordinary and just looking beautiful and finding joy and beauty in it. I love that. I love it. And to me, I think these aesthetics are important and powerful symbols and representation for sure. However, if you listen to this podcast for any amount of time, you know that I deeply, deeply believe that this Black girl soft life, the concept of a soft life, has to be an embodiment, not just an aesthetic, not just a beautiful cosplay, but a deep embodiment. And you're like, how could I embody having a frappuccino and my nails done? And I'm like, well, you see how ridiculous that sounds. I love a nice cold beverage and my nails done as well. But you can see by the nature of your question that it must be more than that. Perhaps it's about having the funds to have a sweet treat and get your nails done. All right, that's a little bit deeper. Perhaps it's about having the time autonomy to be able to go to your local coffee shop and sip your little coffee and check out your nails for an hour or two and not be surveilled by your employer. So when I'm talking about aesthetic, I love it and I want more of it. Keep it coming. But I do believe that the embodiment is where the true soft life begins. Because this is a really powerful concept when you dive deeper than just the surface trivialities, which I think are still cool. I love it. I love being trivial. However, we're often taught to carry the weight of the world on our shoulders, explicitly and implicitly, right? Through seeing it in our parents, in our community, to be strong. God, they love calling a Black woman strong. I'm not strong at all. Now what? I can only do about 5 kilogram bicep curls. So now what? Well, what are we talking about? So we're taught to be strong, to be resilient and self-sacrificing. Before I go on, I've been writing about this a lot. Resilience, the difference between resilience and weathering. And I find that when it comes to Black women in our lived experience, there's a conflation between resilience and weathering that leads to very real physical, mental health outcomes that are horrible for us. To be resilient is to, if we go back to the gym and these 5 kilogram dumbbells that I lift, is about experiencing some form of resistance, maybe some adversity that builds us up. So if I continue not slinging these dumbbells because I want to do it with good form, if I continue to do these bicep curls consistently, although my muscles might be sore and achy, they will eventually become, I don't know, boulders, basically. I know, just off these 5 kilograms. But I will be able to get stronger and maybe bump it up to like 6 or 8 kilograms. So the stress the quote unquote adversity, the resistance that I'm feeling and I'm experiencing, the soreness afterwards, is actually coming together to build me up and actually make me stronger. Yes. However, the conflation, in my opinion, comes from people not understanding the difference between weathering. So weathering is I suppose, a natural occurrence of something being chipped away, like through weather occurrences. For example, boulder can be weathered by drops of water. Now, the drops you think are insignificant individually, but as they hit consistently, they begin to create ridges in the boulder, perhaps cracks in the boulder, and to start breaking the boulder down. Yeah. So it's a form of, we'll say, resistance or adversity that does not, in fact, make you stronger, but actually makes you weaker. And I just want to make a note of that because, like I said, I've been writing a lot about it. And I want all of us to be really clear about these types of definitions and how dangerous they are when people fling them about so cavalierly. Not every experience of adversity, oppression, systemic racism makes you strong or resilient. It can also weather you down. So when I'm speaking about soft life and reaching for this embodiment, reaching for giving yourself permission to experience this softness, it is more than just, I deserve rest. You absolutely do. It is more, perhaps even than I deserve peace, because you absolutely do. It is, I deserve a life that brings me joy and a life that builds me up and does not tear me down. A life that gives to me in equal proportion as I give to it, and not just something that constantly takes from me, and call it strong or resilient, or as if I'm some happy, self-sacrificing, magical Negro. Okay? Because I don't know about y'all, I'm not. A soft life is about making choices that support your well-being. And as I've always said, when it comes to well-being and wellness, I am not talking about crystals and bath bombs, though I have them both and I appreciate them both. I'm talking about a holistic well-being that really addresses all of the major areas of our life as we know it in modern society. Okay. So financial, professional, emotional, mental, physical, spiritual wellness, right? It is about living in alignment with your values and refusing, or even being able to refuse, to let external pressures dictate how you live. Now, you could be like, okay, Christine, but what does this have to do with business in this capitalistic, hungry world? Well, let's talk about it. To me, a soft business is one that does not drain you. It is not a business that weathers you. It is a business that truly instills resilience within you. It's one that works for you and not against you. Okay? It is one that is in complete service to your vision of a life well lived. Hey everyone! I hope you're enjoying this episode of Flourish in the Foreign. And if you are, I'd love for you to support the podcast. Because remember, this podcast is a labor of love, but it's labor. Nonetheless, one of the easiest ways for you to show your support is by buying me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/flourishforeign. Not only does your support keep this podcast going, but I absolutely love reading the notes you leave. Seriously, they really brighten my day. Another way to support is by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Did you know that Spotify now lets me respond to your comments? So if you listen on Spotify, be sure to leave a comment or suggestion under each episode. I'll be able to respond directly. It's a fun way for us to connect and keep the conversation going. Also, if moving abroad with intention is on your agenda, be sure to grab the Move Abroad with Intention guide and be sure to be on the Flourish in the Foreign email list so that when the next time I offer Move Abroad with Intention one-on-one coaching, you can be informed. I didn't realize how popular that was, and I guess I'll be offering it again. For those of you ready to start your own business, don't forget to check out my free video training, The Essentials, from marketable skills to consulting business. Go grab your notebook, watch the training, and take that first step towards building your business today. If you're really serious about getting your business off the ground, consider joining my next Soft Life, Soft Business 8-week intensive, which is starting in just 2 weeks. It's designed to help you go from idea to action with support every step of the way. Thank you all so much for your support. And now let's get back to the episode. So a lot of y'all think about business and you just think of toxic hustle culture times a million and you have all the responsibility. And I can understand that because you probably watch a lot of white dudes talk about entrepreneurship. And that's where you went wrong. Okay? That's where you probably went wrong. You need to watch more women of color speak about business, I think. Because you don't have to work nonstop and you don't have to burn out. And you surely don't need to be constantly stressed to have a business. Because a soft business, as I define it, prioritizes sustainability, ease, and professional fulfillment, right? It's in alignment with your personal code of ethics as well. For me, soft business means building something that supports my life, that supports my worldview, that supports the people that I would like to serve, and supports the people that I would like to employ. It's not something that controls my life. It's not something that tells me who I should serve, what my ethics are, or anything like that. It means setting boundaries with myself. You might have to set boundaries to deprogram yourself of what it means to work hard, to work smart, and things like that. You might actually have to say no when necessary and not be self-sacrificing under the guise of being agreeable. And it means building systems that allow me to thrive without sacrificing my peace. Now, you may say, Christine, that sounds well and good, but it just sounds like a lot of hogwash. I know that building a business is really difficult and it's horrible and all these other things. And I will say this, as I've said before, building a business, it should be an experience that develops resilience within you. It should not weather you. So all of this eat dirt, never sleep is white dude stuff. A lot of them have wives and other people to take care of their families while they do this type of foolishness. Okay? That's not my point of view. And that's why I have a different philosophy. Okay? That's just what it is. The resilience that I think a business, if done so intentionally, can build within you is an alignment and really an outpicturing of the self-actualization that occurs when you develop a business. I know. You didn't think this infomercial was going to go this way. I know. And that's why you should check your assumptions at the door. Thank you very much. I've said this so many times on this podcast, definitely more on other people's podcasts and platforms, but I truly believe that building a business, entrepreneurship, is a form of self-actualization. It allows you to, one, dream and to create. And you bring these ideas and these imaginations into the physical form, right? You manifest, yay! But through that process, you really understand your point of view, your code of ethics, your impact that you would like to have in the world and why. And that is a process of clarity. And it's also a process of trial and error that builds resilience, that leaves you stronger, more capable to serve more or to serve even differently than you have been when you're finished with it all, I suppose. That is the thing. Is building a business hard? Oh, goodness. No and yes. I mean, if it's hard for you to keep promises to yourself, then yes. I'm just saying. I know you didn't want me to say that, but yes. If it's easier for you to show up for other people and give them your all and help them build their asset as opposed to showing up for yourself and building your own assets, not just for your enjoyment, but so that you can serve your audience, your customers in the way that you feel that they deserve to be served, but also to create employment opportunities for people that you believe should be employed in a certain type of manner, and to be the type of person that's going to create these opportunities and be in community with your team. I don't know, like, so hard, you may not like that answer, but that's honestly, that is the truth of the situation. Everything else that people want to talk about around that conversation about hard or how long ultimately comes down to this. It does. It really does. So there's that. So, how do you create a soft business that supports your soft life? Goodness. The first thing I would say is that if you're on the fence about starting your own business, I think it's important that you understand why you want to start a business. I don't think you should start a business because you can't find employment necessarily. Although, historically, many of our ancestors have had to do just that because people would refuse to employ them. Okay. But in today's day and age, I don't necessarily think you should go into entrepreneurship because you feel like you can't find the remote job of your dreams. Okay. I think that you should listen to How to Get a Job Abroad, my compilation episode, and you should employ a very skilled headhunter or recruiter. That's what I think, personally. If you have been on the fence about having a business and you're like, okay, I definitely want to do it, but I just don't know where to start. Well, I recommend you start with my free video training called From Marketable Skill to Consulting Business. Now, the framing of this video is to build a consulting business, but it's applicable towards other businesses as well, I feel. At least businesses that require your inherent or your learned experienced skills or talents. If you're going to be leveraging these things that you have into a business, I think it is applicable and you can watch it for free and do the things I tell you to do. Um, would get you that would get you well on your way. And I think a lot of people don't believe me because they're like, there's no possible way she would just give it all out. And I'm like, it's easy for me to give it all out because none of y'all actually follow the directions and do what you're supposed to do. I said it. I said it. It's spooky season. It's getting scary in here. Okay? That's the truth of the situation. Yes, that is the truth of the situation. If you have your idea and you're like, okay, I know what I want to do for sure. I just don't have a business. Well, I would say this when I have my next Soft Life, Soft Business intensive, I think you might want to join me because that's when I stand up businesses in I don't know, maybe 10 weeks this time, but 8 weeks. That's when I do that. Okay. That's what I would say. Do you have to do the intensive? No, there's a lot of information on the internet to do this. So do that. Now, if you have a business, you're an emerging entrepreneur, you're like, yes, but I'm working a lot, or I feel really confused, or I feel really lost. Here are some strategies that I think that can help you mold this business into a soft business. Okay. Number one, set boundaries. And everyone all together, who are boundaries for? They're for you. Yeah, they're for you. Okay. One of the most important things you can do is to set boundaries with yourself. You can explain the boundaries to your clients, but they're really for you. It's really easy to fall into the trap of not only overworking, especially if you're really passionate or if you're like, I got a timeline, I need to make this money. But it's really easy to fall into that trap of working all the time. But you have to have clear boundaries. Also, not just overworking, but over delivering, which is a huge thing. I mean, I still find myself falling into this trap sometimes as well. But it's a huge thing that I find with women, and I work primarily with Black women and women of color, helping them to step into entrepreneurship through consulting and to then expand their business and their footprint into thought leadership, right? So I experience this and I know this over delivering, saying, I will give you everything in the whole world. Just buy my $20 whatever. And it's like, absolutely not. We're not doing that. But that's part of setting boundaries with yourself. How do you set that with your clients? That's called a scope of work. That's a set of boundaries. And then having an a la carte menu, being like, and if you ask me anything else, this is how much it's going to cost. Those are boundaries. Okay. We want to do that because we want to avoid burnout. That's not very soft, but also an important tenet of soft life, soft business is developing a business that is not only viable, it works, but sustainable. Yes, sustainable. And not having boundaries and just doing whatever is not it. It's not it. Here's a second thing that I will recommend if you are an emerging entrepreneur, perhaps you're even a seasoned one, but you're like, this business, it ain't soft. I got you. I got you. All right. So, what I'm going to recommend is that you do something that I tell all my clients to do. Yes, I do. So, y'all have heard it before if you're a past client. Delegate and collaborate. Yes, you don't have to do everything yourself. If you're a solopreneur and you're making money, but you don't feel like you're making that much money, you could feel like, no, girl, I got to do everything myself. Okay, so you feel like you can't invest and necessarily delegate and get an assistant, or you can't hire someone to do an aspect of your business or something like that. Okay, that's fine. But I would say then collaboration would be important for you. Working with others to develop a product or service would be helpful. Or collaborating to market your service. Like you feel like, well, I got to put out all the flyers in the world. We're talking about an online business, so I don't know where these flyers are going. The digital flyers, I got to put them all out myself. No, you don't. I've got to build my own audience. You do to a certain extent, but you don't have to have it all done by the time you start selling and selling consistently. You don't. But that's where collaboration comes from. And I tell everyone collaboration and community are the fastest ways to the biggest bags. It's true. It is true. It really is. It helps you to leverage other people's audiences. You become introduced to other people's professional networks. People become aware of you. People can throw opportunities and business towards you. So if you have not tried delegating or collaborating, I highly suggest you do that, especially if you want this soft life, soft business. Okay. I say this a lot. Um, Flourish in the Foreign has been a very big blessing in my life. And one, as crazy as it sounds, as a business strategist, I was not expecting. I did not strategize for this to happen. I had to actually course correct in some capacities early on when I was like, oh, wait, I think this might be something. Okay. But the biggest blessing from this podcast is that my professional network is so vast and so deep and not superficial, right? Like I know these people, and it has been a blessing because I am able to receive referrals. I'm able to be put in places and spaces where people are just receptive to what I'm talking about. Okay. So these are not things I'm saying like, yeah, these are, yeah, delegate, collaborate. I don't know, do an IG live together. It's more than that. It's about cultivating community and leveraging your network. And if you're like, I don't know what that means, I can understand because a lot of people don't know how to network, or you're very resistant to the term networking when really it's just cultivating professional community. You cultivate that professional community and you will have a soft business, right? This is something that I tell my clients, I teach my clients, I got templates. I'm like, this is what we're going to do. Okay. But it does require time. So, like I said at the very beginning, when people are like, oh, but like how long? And da da da, it's babe, if you're consistent and you're committed to yourself, we'll see. If you are not, I can't help if you don't really F with yourself like that. I not to be vulgar or to be ridiculous, but I think we have to call a spade when it comes to these types of things. A lot of people like to project their insecurities and call it something else when it really is like simple as that. It really is that. It really is that. Okay? That's just what it is. You may not like it, but that's what I'm calling it. The third thing I'm going to suggest, if you are an emerging entrepreneur or even a seasoned one and you do not have that soft life, soft business, is that you have got to build systems. And a lot of you who are coming from the corporate space, you understand the need to develop systems and clear workflows and SOPs. For some reason, people think like entrepreneurship is just anarchy. We're just crazy. We're hippies over here. It's just craziness. I do whatever I want. It's like, you can. Like, you can do that. But you could also, like, building a system doesn't make you a square. It doesn't make you less of an entrepreneur. It just creates a standardized and predictable experience for both your customer and for yourself so that you understand what you need to do. It also helps in when you are ready to delegate, to hire people, that you already have your system. And so you know what you need this person to do for you, right? And you could possibly train someone to do this system for you. You don't need someone with certain expertise because you're like, I'll just teach you how I do this. Okay. So creating a soft business really does mean building systems that work for you. You do not have to do it like anyone else at all. You can create it for you. And this could mean automating certain processes, creating a more flexible schedule, finding tools that make your workflow easier. Okay. The goal is to have your business run efficiently without it taking over your life, because your soft business is meant to fund your soft life. Yes, yes, yes. You get it. You get it. So I encourage you to take a step back and evaluate your life, your way of work, your thoughts around business and entrepreneurship. Are you creating a life that brings you peace and joy? Are you cultivating a life well lived? Is this vision for a life well lived? Does it include having your own business? And does this business support this life, or do you envision it draining you? Is that why you haven't made the leap? Because you're like, it's going to be hard and horrible. These are only questions you can answer. But this is the thing. If you're ready to learn more about how to create a soft business that funds your soft life, I invite you to, one, learn more about Soft Life, Soft Business, the collective, which is my professional community membership. Okay. You can find more information at christinejob.com. And this is the thing. It's a year-round membership program for emerging and seasoned entrepreneurs who are really ready to build and to scale something that aligns with their values and their lifestyle. Okay? I would love for you to join me if it feels like it's in alignment with you. There are quarterly memberships and there are annual memberships. Yes, because it requires commitment. This is a community. This is not dip in, dip out. No, this is something very different. So if it feels right, I'd love for you to join us. Doors are currently open, but I'm also going to let you know that in the future, I will be closing the doors. It will not be rolling admission. There will only actually be in the future 2 times a year you'll be able to join the collective. I'd love for you to join the collective now as a founding member, because you will be instrumental in the decision making of who out of my professional community I bring in as speakers and to become part of your professional community. So I would love for you to join me. Again, learn more and join at christinejob.com. Thank you so much for listening to this long infomercial. And thank you so much for supporting this free 99 podcast. I do appreciate you. Big thanks to Zachary Higgs, who produces the music to this here podcast. And remember, it is not about moving abroad. It is not about being abroad. It's about flourishing abroad. It's about thriving abroad. So go abroad and cultivate a life well lived. And while you're at it, why don't you go ahead and bet on yourself and build that soft business that funds your soft life. See you next time. Bye.